How expensive would it be if somebody has ripped out the copper and the AC? Like, does that add like an extra like?
Oh, you could be 150 grand.
No, you can look at it that way. So a lot of times, common in self storage, climate control can be $1, but it just goes by area because it can be $1.50 too. So I don't. Someone might listen to what we're saying and live in San Francisco and go,
Yeah,
"These guys
exactly.
are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about."
It's a process,
Yeah.
man. We've done it a bunch of different ways. We can do it in house, where we just have people on the phones calling around to see what the rates are in the area and try and judge what the occupancy of the other facilities that are in the area are.
Hey everybody, Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Morales Group Show. Today we have repeat guest. It is the one and only Mike and Beau. Today they are going to be talking to us on how to convert a commercial property into self-storage. Now, the reason I wanted to bring them on to talk about this is I'm a believer that there's always opportunity everywhere you look. Right now, there's a lot of big, large shopping centers like Toys R Us in our market, Target or Kmart buildings that are vacant. What I'm noticing a trend is that certain operators are turning these big commercial buildings into self-storage facilities, into room temperature self-storage facilities. So Mike and Beau are actually doing the exact same thing, and they're going to walk us through that process. So you're going to learn all you need to know if you ever come across an opportunity like this as to how to convert a commercial property into self-storage. Welcome back to the show, guys. How are you guys?
Really good. Thanks for
Good,
having
man.
us.
Good. Yeah, thanks. We appreciate it.
I love it. So for the viewers that maybe didn't watch the previous episode that you guys did with us, who is Mike and Beau, and then how did you guys get started in investing in real estate?
I'm Mike,
I'm Bo.
and we have a following on the Mike and Beau show. So follow us if you can. But you want to tell them a little bit about us?
Yeah, we actually started out. We've been best friends for 20 plus years, 25 years, and got it started doing business in the early 2000s of acquiring commercial real estate. Where we started were like the old dilapidated metal buildings and that in the Houston area and south of the Houston area down into the Bay, and the industrial facilities that are down there. We bought up a lot of the old dilapidated buildings, fixed them up, reskinned them, and then we would lease them back out and then roll them back out to long-term financing. We started that, and then from there we kind of rolled into, we did a solar company there for a while. We've done, we got a construction company together. We got a steel fabrication company,
Pool company,
swimming pool company.
and then went into self storage in Arizona.
Yeah, went into self-storage in Arizona probably around 2016, 2017, and there's 4 of us partners doing that together. So
35 complexes. Now.
yeah, we got like 35 complexes in the Arizona area. Probably have another 5 or 6 in Texas, and then just got into doing the big box thing where we were buying older rundown Walmarts. A lot of times Walmart will end up buying another piece of property across the street 10, 15 years after opening one. They'll close that one down, open up their new one, bigger, better super center, and then we swoop in and picked up one in the Texas City area and converted it to self-storage.
Actually, that one had it was a Walmart super center, over 100,000 square feet. And when we picked that up, it had been vacant for 17 years, but they kept the AC on, kept the lights on, and maintained the building. So when we came in, it was like broom swept finish. It was one of the ones that's too good to be true. They literally just mothballed it. It looked like it closed 6 months ago, and it had been 17 years sitting there. So when we got a smoking deal on it, because for whatever reason it didn't sell, but it did have, how big is the Tractor Supply?
I'm not even sure.
Yeah, so it's a portion of that building. So we get the rents from that plus triple net, and then we had the remainder of the Walmart, and we turned that into self-storage, climate control self-storage. And that was actually the second one we had done. We actually had a building. You want to tell them about Bob? So we had a spot we couldn't lease.
Yeah, we had two 20,000 square foot buildings. Mike's furniture store actually leases one of them from our other company for his furniture. And then the front building, we actually leased it out to a couple of different companies. Once they moved on, we ended up doing a conversion on that as well. So it already had the ACs on it. Actually, our tenant had done the upgrade, put the ACs on it, ran a furniture store right next to Mike's furniture store, once he shut down, we went in there and converted it to self-storage, ripped out all the offices and that, and we got about 17,000 square feet of storage in a 20,000 square foot building.
And so with that, we were
love
getting $8,000 a month. Yeah, we're getting $8,000 a month. But once we switched over to self storage, I think it's bringing in
18,000
17 or 18,000
Yeah.
a month.
So we filled it up real quick.
And so it was
I
a
love
no-brainer to just, yeah. So
Yeah, you would think that you got to find a big box store, but that's not necessarily true. I mean, if you can buy it right and it's a large square footage, got to be over
40 for sure.
Yeah, 40,000 square feet. Just breaking down the cost of what it's going to cost to get it climate controlled, if it's insulated or if it's not insulated. Thing about a big box is it's going to be insulated well. The only problem is you may have some roof issues that get awful expensive.
And the ACs can cost money. You lose about 30% of a big box to hallways and stuff. So if you got 100,000 square feet, then you're going to be leasing out about 70,000 square feet. So whatever you're looking at, and that's why we say you got to be bigger. The first one we did was kind of an experiment for us, but it was 20,000 square feet. We weren't using it for anything. Hadn't had any tenants in there in a little while. So we experimented with that, and we realized if we would have had to gone out and buy that building at market value or anything close, it wouldn't have been enough square footage to offset the cost and the return on investment. So we wouldn't have done that. But for us, it penciled out huge.
Because we already own the thing.
Yeah.
And we were only going to be able to get probably in our market maybe 60 cents a square foot for it at the time. So it actually worked out quite well to get 17,000 square feet of storage, and then you're renting it at a higher square footage rate than what you would have to lease to a one tenant.
How do you like if I'm analyzing a building, like are there certain like rules of thumb that like I shouldn't, like, because I imagine that in most places you can rent self-storage for a certain price per square foot, and then obviously there's like 30% that you lose when you convert it. Is How do I figure what I can pay for the actual building, or certain buildings not going to make sense just um, based on the cost that are associated with them?
So give away all the secrets. The thing is, it's for basically how we've done business with my brother and stuff is we don't buy anything unless we feel the day we close we got it for 30% undervalued at that day. So we have to feel like we're making money. If we were to close and then we go to sell it the next day, we would make money. So we never buy anything. We're real disciplined about that. And what we have found in the big box stores right now, we got 4 of them right now that we're working on right now. And what we have found is the prices go from here to here. So a lot of things that Beau had mentioned, the roofs, the ACs, and then the demand for self-storage. So all those variables.
Yeah, we've got an acquisition team that is searching all over the country. But when we started doing that a few years back, we found out, like, you get down into Oklahoma and we're like, look at this facility. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh, it's this many square feet for only this price. Then you start doing your market analysis to see what they're charging for storage down there. And it's 10 cents on the dollar of what we're getting.
Yeah, you just
so
can't.
No wonder the price is what it is, because the market won't bear it.
If the building was free, we would build out there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes so you really got to do your homework. I mean, it's not, we love the big box concept, and we're running at it right now really hard. But you still, with anything else, you got to know your market. You got to know the condition of the building. Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of variables, just like anything else. But there's what we have found, even like in Texas, the ones we're working on right now, is it's climate control storage. But it doesn't have to be the what you're thinking of, the Kmart and Walmart, which we love those. But one of them is a keg building. It used to belong to a Anheuser-Busch or something. And I'm talking about a building that looks like you should have bulldozed it. My brother Dino found it. He's down there. We've got some content that shows it. But anyways, what we're doing with that one, we're chopping them up into basically it's 52,000 square feet with a loading dock. And we have the refineries around there needing to store some equipment. So you can rent those out. We had a deal this morning we're working on. They want 17,000 square feet. We finished it 4 days ago. And the realtor called this morning. Hey, I just showed it to this refinery. They have some electronic equipment they need stored. So when you're talking big box, we think outside the box. So it could be in a refinery area where we're at. You wouldn't want self-storage individual.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
They want to take a huge section of it. It's climate control storage, 17,000 square feet. We're fist pumping. They're happy to have it.
So it's almost commercial climate control.
Yeah.
You know.
And now that China had all the problems the supply chains, we're finding there's just a lot of companies in these cities that want to have to store, whether it's their pizza boxes, their whatever they store. They don't want to run out. They're getting that stuff from China. So now storage in big cities, you can think outside the box. Once you have a box that's going to work, is priced right, what is the area need for storage? If it happens to be homes around and there's demand, go that way. But at the same time, you could be an industrial area. We just in the same area, we just bought an old Kmart. Mm-hmm. We got the city looking at it for pickleball. We got the sheriff looking at it for police station, and we got the mayor because he wants more office space. And they're all fighting for it. And it's a Kmart that one just got finished
a month ago. If that.
So
as a self-storage as well too, right? You guys did the climate control.
Yeah.
You guys mind me asking, like, you guys said that in Oklahoma, like they didn't pencil out. What was like a purchase price in Oklahoma? Like, what was it like, and how many square feet? Do you guys recall that at all?
What's the big one we just looked at? Looks so good, on paper. We were Google Earthing
in Oklahoma, or
just recently we were looking at one. It was so cheap, and the building was in such good condition, but we couldn't move on it.
I honestly, like even talking about the Oklahoma one, that one was not going to be a climate control conversion one. That was actually going to be a self-storage. But we had the one that was in Kansas, but the population wasn't there and something else. So I want to say that it was like $29 a square foot.
In good condition.
A square foot. And good condition. But the market didn't bear it.
Yeah. It costs $200 a square foot to build a building.
Yeah, because if it's $29 a square foot anywhere else in the country, as long as you got the population about it, you better pick it up.
Yeah.
Right. And then, like, for example, like the Walmart building, what would something like that look for? Like obviously that has the population. Is it still like $29 a foot, or is it more like what's a price that likely wouldn't support it? Like $50 a foot, $45 a foot?
We look at like those prices and under. You can pay more in bigger areas with more demand and stuff, but again, we're always trying to find something undervalued.
In any areas where it's under $30 a square foot, it makes sense.
It's going to pencil out, basically.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But then you got all your due diligence that you got to do as well. If it's zoned for it, if the city's friendly to deal with, if you can actually build it out in the complex that it's in.
We got a bid for over, I think it was $500,000 for one of the roofs at one of the big boxes we bought. We got another one for $350,000, and I don't know what we ended up getting it for actually for the roof repair, but it can get extremely expensive because these are older buildings. They're older buildings, so you got to be careful. And sometimes older buildings were taken care of. Sometimes they just replaced the ACs, 5 years ago, so you're good. Other times they've already been stolen. A lot of areas we go to, people strip out the copper in these old buildings, so then you got those expenses. And so you see a building that's $29 a square foot, but you realize someone's been in there and ripped out all the copper and the ACs. Well, it doesn't matter what the price per square foot is now. Now you got to how much is going to cost to get it to a vanilla envelope, basically.
How expensive would it be if somebody has ripped out the copper and the AC? Like, does that add like an extra like?
Oh, you could be $150,000. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Nothing.
Easy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, do you guys also do non-climate control self-storage conversions? And what are the pros and cons of either one?
We haven't.
Yeah, we haven't.
I mean, anything we've done in a big box, we're going to go climate control.
Yeah, there's a demand for that climate control, and we're talking about Arizona for the heat and Texas for the heat and humidity. So there's a demand for that. In Texas, if we have storage that's not climate control, but you got to be careful what you put out there in Texas where we're at because of the mold and things. There's just, So there's a lot of reason why people want climate control. We weren't a fan of it at first. We kind of stayed away from it when we first got into business, and now we're big fans of it. When you can charge more, and we love the big box play.
Yeah. What about like in the research process? And I imagine that this research is very similar to like if you guys were buying a self-storage facility, right? Like if you guys were running a self-storage facility that was already built, I imagine that the research that you guys are doing is very similar to that. What would you look for? Like you guys said that the population in Oklahoma was just too low, and maybe in Kansas, certain parts of Kansas, it was too low. Like what are some okay, we want minimum of X amount of people, and then how do you guys do the research as it relates to price per square foot for renting out the self-storage as well too?
It's a process, man. We've done it a bunch of different ways. We can do it in house, where we just have people on the phones calling around to see what the rates are in the area and try and judge what the occupancy of the other facilities that are in the area are. There's different softwares that you can sign up for to actually get the information. And then we've also gone above and beyond and just hired somebody to do a feasibility study. Doing the feasibility study is not cheap,
But it's worth
but
it.
if you get a good company, it's amazing how they drill down on the area to really tell you what's going on there. And it can, it's a lot of money up front, but it can save you a lot of money in the long run.
Because there's a lot
So
of people building
basically,
out self storage right now. So you got to be careful what's coming. We call the city, hey, what's coming also. So it's a lot of time of putting in your homework because you don't want to be wrong. And even if someone's a beginner, like we started out with the one that's 20,000 square feet, and we've grown into the ones we're looking at. Alabama now is 80,000 square feet.
How many square feet is it, Dino?
80,000.
80,000 for Oklahoma. But you want to do your homework because if you're a beginner, you don't want to get caught with one of these. They're expensive to own. The taxes are expensive. The utilities are expensive. And then people break in and steal copper. So depending on what the price of copper is, you're going to have problems. So you want to be able to get in, get your work done, and get it C of O and get it going. So everything he just said about research, it's research. We have to be able to be 100% confident and fist pump, and you can still be wrong. So
yeah.
it's a big number.
What about like, and this is kind of like a concern for me out here, that sometimes you go to the city and they tell you, yeah, we can do that. Like I went to the city and we have a 7-unit building that I bought in 2017 and we just started construction on it. It's 2023. And when I went there the first time, they told me like, yeah, like 1 year or less, you should have everything ready to go. The architect too. And it was like 6 years later. And I'm like, I should have just bought like a apartment complex that was already producing income instead of having all this money just kind of sitting there. So like, how do you guys protect yourselves like when talking to the city to make sure that you guys are getting accurate information, or what does that due diligence process look like to make sure that they're not just saying yes, and then it's like, oh no, sorry, we're not going to allow this.
That's where it comes down to having good people. Obviously, during that due diligence period, it's like Mike's brother Dino. He's the best, man. He'll drill down to the city. He'll talk to the city manager. He'll get in front of the mayor. He'll find out if they're storage friendly. We've looked at not strip malls, but actual malls that have closed down or become the trampoline houses or whatever it is, and you'll find out if they're friendly to storage, and a lot of them aren't. And so that's why you got to have that period of time, and you got to be running hard right out of the gate.
I like to be upfront and honest with the cities because we've done everything over the years. We bulldogged it where you don't get permits, where you don't do this, and then you just learn your lesson. But the thing is you got to go into the city. You're making a big investment, and you got to open your arms up and go, I got this great idea out on Main Street. You got this building's been sitting for 7 years. I want to do XYZ self-storage. Are you guys friendly? Do you want me to be doing this? Because if they don't, it doesn't matter even if it's zoned properly. They can hold you up just the way you described, and you don't want to get in a fight. It'll slow you down and take all your energy, and you could be doing something else. So if they're not going to welcome you with open arms, I would just go find another one. There are a bunch of them out there. But you got to be in an area that says, yeah, we'd love to have you. Here, let me show you. Here's the package you need to fill out. We'd love to have you. And if they won't say that, life's too short. And we have been in fights with cities and counties and ordinances. And even when you think you're doing everything right, like yourself, I'm sure you weren't taking any shortcuts. It can drag on for years. But on the other side, if you find somebody that does want it, then it speeds everything up. You don't have all the permits of building, all the stuff that happens that you went through, the engineering, the environmental, all the things that can happen, the fire department stuff. A lot of these already have sprinkler systems in them. So it's just, you can save a lot of money if you're in a friendly area. If not, move on. What'd you say?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
even if it's zoned correctly, basically, so even if the zoning is zoned for self-storage, if they're not friendly, it's not worth it, basically, because even if it's zoned correctly, they're just going to make your life. What if it's not zoned correctly for storage, but they're friendly and open to the idea? Then at that point, it's worth it, basically. But do you guys at this point, would you guys recommend getting something in writing from them saying, hey, look, if you guys buy this, we're going to allow it? Or is that kind of where some of the fights have come, where somebody says, because that's very common in our area, where they'll say yes, and then they're like, oh no, We changed our
I
mind.
would go. I'd go the opposite way. I'd go on the purchase contract. I'd go that way. If the person wants to sell it, go, hey, when I get it switched over to the proper zoning, or if I get because the city's not going to open themselves up to anything.
Yeah, they won't give you anything.
They won't. But the person selling it, if they've had a building been sitting there for years, which a lot of them have been sitting for years. Then you got someone that's motivated. Go, hey, I'm going to need 120 days to get this thing passed through. Let's put it in escrow and contingent upon me. So that's why we have a team looking for them, because it's not easy. But when you do find one that works, it works.
So that's basically how you're able to protect yourself. It's just you're not closing on them, not knowing that you're not closing on them without 100% knowing that you're going to be able to do this. Basically, you're just extending the due diligence period and kind of working throughout that process. And then there's that chance that it may not work out and you've invested all this money with it, but hey, you know what? You gave it a shot, and then some of them will work out and some of them won't work out. Can you guys give us an example of maybe like one where you guys opened up escrow and it sounded like they were going to allow you guys, and then they didn't allow you guys to do it? And what were some of the things that maybe were done incorrectly? Or
about Dino's friend that bought the one, and the city gave him the go ahead, and he ended up eating it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what was his name?
Yeah, Robin. Right, Dino. Yeah. We had a guy that was the storage guru out in Texas, and so anytime we'd fly out to go meet with his brother, we'd set it up. Let's get Robin by to have lunch. Have Robin by, and he had bought and sold more storage and had big badass boats and all kinds of crazy shit that he's made off of storage. So we always want to sit down with him and pick his brain. Well, he had a story of going into an area, and I'm gonna mess up the story, but he actually came in, and I believe it was like an old Home Depot or something like that. Hey, came down to the city, done this so many times, got their blessing, everything was all good. Then I don't know who it was that he dealt with. The city might have been one of the lead inspectors or whatnot, but then it had to go before the city council. Well, city council voted against it, but he'd already closed on it after he got the blessing at the counter from either the city manager or the mayor or whatnot, but city council went against it. And so he fought, and he said it about took him down. Yeah, I mean, it cost him so much money because he'd already made commitments, had deposits in on the build out, everything was moving forward. And so he ended up turning it out somehow, but he said it about crippled him.
Yeah.
And we've had stories like that too. It's just, we've always fought, Mike and his brother Dino especially, to get things to the finish line, and they know how to work through the city and whatnot. But even the truck stop that we bought recently, it was we got their blessing or whatnot. But then you get one person, one inspector that wants to make it tough on your life, and next thing you know, you're in for a fight, man.
And that was outdoor storage.
Yeah, that one's outdoor storage, and then it's got a 20,000 or 30,000 square foot building in the middle of the property.
It's got like 10 acres of concrete, so we were just parking from the port, parking tractors and just different things on this property. But they lost their noodle, and so bought that one. But you don't want to get a fight with them.
How long does the process usually take, like from start to finish? Like meaning, like how long? Yeah, the fight. Yeah. The fight. It depends who swings first. I'm kidding.
Exactly.
Like, how much time are we looking at, like due diligence period, and then how much time are we looking like for the build out, and then who are the team members that you would need to build out something like this?
One thing, the company that we use is Janus. So once we get to the point where it's a vanilla envelope, there's several companies that do it, but we use this one called Janus, and they're really good about helping us design it and making all the changes and helping us. So there's companies out there that there's the drawing, So, but the due diligence, especially once you get better, it just kind of moves a little faster than what you think, because you're going to find out what's the demand. Once we find a building, we're on it, so we can move through pretty fast. And then we're good at recognizing, guess what, the demand's not there, so you don't have to go to the city or anything because the demand's not there. So it's kind of like a little checklist. First, if it was finished, could you make money doing it? All right, well, how much? And like the flyover part of America, there's a lot of cheap storage out there. They haven't raised the rates like they have on the coast and the Texas and Arizona, and so there's a lot of places that it wouldn't pencil. So again, we love it, but we're very careful. So but once you realize it doesn't take that long until you run into problems, and then you got a long time.
Is it better to buy something already built out, or is it better what are the benefits of converting versus building it out?
Time.
Yeah. If like Mike says, if it's a vacant building, structurally sound, then that's the way to go because you can build out the inside. I mean, being able to pick up a climate controlled conversion or a climate controlled business, even if their numbers aren't proper, it's not managed properly. It's tough to find something like that even off market and try and close the deal on something like that. But if you can get a lot of square footage and rehab it for a decent cost factor on it, then that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah. What about costs? I think you guys said something about like $200 a square foot or something like that. Is that like
But
typical like for like the build out cost? And
no,
what
that
is
would be starting a building a building.
Yeah, if you're starting from scratch,
Yeah.
you are going to be.
Yeah. That's why I like to say the $29 a square foot. When we find those, we're fist pumping as long as there's the demand and as long as the roof and the AC and all the big components are working properly, or if not, what's it really going to cost you?
So what would it cost like if you do find something at 26? What do you guys think it would cost to like almost build it out like a foot?
What do we do on the last one?
I'd say you're probably going to be somewhere around $25 a square
Yeah.
foot. You know.
So 200 a square foot would be building the entire building
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
scratch.
if you're
right?
starting from
Like,
scratch,
Yeah.
dealing with the city, I mean,
Yeah.
development deal,
Yeah.
you're going to be all of that.
Yeah, it's just
you're
going
going to be
go on
looking at
forever.
that.
It's gonna
But
cost you a
if
lot
you're
more.
if you're able to find something in the 20s per foot, and then you're able to do it at build it out for like another 25, you're into it like at $50 a foot. Now it becomes a slam dunk basically at
Dunk.
that point.
Yes.
What could you
Yeah.
rent out something like that for? Like what would something like that self storage is priced per square foot as well too, right? Or is
Sure.
it
No, you can look at it that way. So, a lot of times, common in self storage, climate control can be $1, but it just goes by area because it can be $1.50 too.
Mhm.
So I don't. Someone might listen to what we're saying and live in San
San
Francisco
Francisco.
and go,
Yeah,
"These guys
exactly.
are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about." Well, we live in Arizona, and I'm telling you what, we rent them out for in Texas and stuff. And we've seen when the market's down or flooded, you'll see self storage go for 70 cents a square foot. Well, you could never build anything and rent self storage climate control for 70 cents, but you could go rent sometimes for that because there's too much competition. So it really is all over the board, and that goes back to doing your research and knowing your market. So you can get caught with your pants down, but if you do your research and know there's a demand, and find out what your competition's doing.
you know what I love about this? Like I run into people all the time. They're like, "Oh, like the real estate market is overpriced or there's no good deals." But I'm a believer like that if you get a little bit creative, there's always good opportunities, you know? It's just for those people that are willing to adapt and look at things a different way. Like so in California, prices are pretty high, but we're doing something called accessory dwelling units where we're adding additional units to properties and it pencils out great, you know, but it's almost like you guys like it's harder to find a self-storage facility that's already built out, but because you guys are getting creative, you guys are still able to do this. So I guess my question becomes like, what are some of like the biggest challenges that you guys face like in doing this? Is it finding the deal the biggest challenge? Is it
Yeah.
Yes.
going through the process the biggest challenge? Or is it renting them out the biggest challenge?
I'd say finding the deal.
We got hard criteria for us. Like
Yeah,
so we
it's-
don't want to get stuck with something that we don't make money. Everything has to cash flow, and we just move on. So we move on a lot. And
Right.
We don't. We love looking at deals. Anybody wants to send us a deal, we'll look at anything. But so many times I feel bad for the people in our office because it doesn't work. Next, doesn't work. Next,
Yeah,
right?
we've had a few deals that were in escrow that once you really drill down on them, you get excited about it, and but you got to make sure, hey, this is a business. We got to run the numbers, and if the numbers don't lie, man, this is not where we thought it was going to be, and then you got to pull back.
You got to walk away.
You got to walk away from it because starting out, getting $200,000 and $300,000 buildings, you could take a hit if something didn't. You could sit on it for a little while, but when you start rolling in the bigger square footage and the big box stores and shit like that, you cannot make a mistake.
Because the thing is, a lot of them have been sitting a long time. So if they were sitting a long time before you came along and you make a mistake, you're not going to be able to unload it because it's already been sitting. So it's not like you can pull the parachute and jump out, like other businesses or other pieces of property. A big, ugly building in an area that's not growing and even shrinking. We find that a lot in the areas that are shrinking even. They're moving to other places. Well, You get caught with one of those buildings, you are going to own it.
Yeah. Honestly, that's the biggest plus that we have is because of the relationship, the partnership that we have. Um, Mike and I can fall in love with something, have our acquisition team bring it to us. They're selling it to us. They're all pumped up, and then we send it off. And then Mike's brother will get involved, and he'll look at it from a different angle, and he'll be like, "Whoa,
you guys didn't think of this.
You guys didn't think of this. You didn't think of that. Hey, I ran into this on the last one." So
we hang up on them.
Yeah, we hang up on them. We don't listen to them, and then we do what we want to do anyways. Or he gets excited. Same thing. Yeah. He gets excited and
because it gets emotional. We're having fun.
Yesterday he was an idiot. Today the Kmart we had 3 people go by to go take a look at it. So he's a genius. We're taking him to dinner tonight.
He bought an ugly Kmart, and I mean an ugly one. Had been sitting forever, and now we've got multiple people. We just finished it. And Beau and I were talking last week. He paid too much for that thing. He's going to be too much. Yeah. So we're sitting there just beating him up. He's 1,500 miles away, so we're super smart.
Yeah.
Then he's in town visiting this morning. I'm listening to phone calls. Realtors are calling. Hey, I got this guy looking at it. I got this guy looking at it. I got this person wants it. I'm like, yeah, we're good. Look what I did.
2 days ago, he's like, we got to talk to my brother when he comes to town.
Yeah, when he gets to town, we're going to talk to him, man. He's costing us a lot of money.
Are you guys holding on to these buildings, or are you guys just kind of like flipping them like afterwards?
Well, in the past, everything's been long-term hold. But now
we're thinking we're going to start flipping some things, man. Fill them up and give them to the REITs, or give them to fill them up and take some cash flow. We've done so much long-term that we're kind of like in a transition period where we go, you know what, with these interest rates and things, let's just try turning some over. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. Actually, we got a couple things either in escrow or about to go in escrow that we wouldn't normally sell, but we go, you know what, let's try the other side of the grass is greener over there, right? Let's go find out.
Yeah.
So
it's funny. I've held a lot over the last 10 years, and I'm kind of in a similar stage where I'm starting to flip some of them. Because the reality is, some of the things I can't pencil out to keep as a rental, and I'm just like, like for $1,000 a month, it's not worth it for me, or whatever it may be. I'd rather take the big paycheck now and then maybe do something on it a little bit later. So I'm kind of like, I think, in a similar boat. You guys said like you guys were in escrow on a couple properties, and some of them were like you guys had to cancel. What were some of the deal breakers on those, or like what were some of the things that maybe originally looked good, and then after taking a look at it, maybe didn't pencil out the way
just
that
the things we've talked about, the city,
the population, and then it takes time to really, if you're not hiring somebody right away out of the gate to do the feasibility study, and you're doing it yourself. It takes time. I mean, we've even, like I say, we'll get on the phone with Dino, but it's been one of those things where we've called around, we checked, and then next thing you know, Dino gets word of it in Texas, and he has his team calling to see what they think of it, and then they got a different vibe than what we do. So all of a sudden, we start pulling back and rethinking what we're going to do. So,
how much does a feasibility report cost? And then, like, what's included in the feasibility report? Like, in the feasibility report, I imagine that it's like, what's included in the feasibility report? It's actually the first time I've ever heard that.
They'll talk about the demographics of the area.
Yeah.
It'll give you the income of your clients. It'll give the existing in a certain square footage. It'll tell you what the price per square foot of those storage facilities are going for. It'll tell you how full they are.
The number of apartment buildings, the number of houses with garages, the number, just all the things that they dig in, and it's pretty impressive. But as far as cost, you're not talking that much. Probably $4,500 is, you get a good.
I think the last one was $10,000.
Okay, $10,000. Oh, so just tells you what I know. Guess I'm not in charge of that. Yeah.
And then in that feasibility report, like, what are the most important metrics that you guys would look at?
A little bit of everything, man. Yeah. I mean, it's not like one certain thing that'll hit you. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of it is you want to see what the going rate is, for storage in that area.
Growing area.
Yep. See the occupancy percentage and see, who's filled up, who's not. Yeah. And see if it's going to keep on growing.
All right. Apartments are
already saturated.
You want multifamily around where you're at. You want people already full. And there's no magic behind it. These people are literally calling and using, whatever means possible to get that manager to spill their guts on how many spots they have. Sometimes we'll call up, hey, we're a contractor going to be in town doing some work. Got five guys coming in. They're going to need 5 different storage units, a 10 by 10. And how many of those you got available? Oh, we got none. Really? How many you guys have? Oh, we got 150 of them. You got none available? Okay, check. Or they call up, go, do I need to make reservations? It's not going to be for a few months. And I got 5 guys coming down, going to need some storage or whatever. And no, we've always got them available. Well, check. We're not going in there, So we just, you got to pull the information out. And so the people you hire to do that, they're literally making those kind of phone calls. So it's not like everyone's just open. And other times you call someone, they'll tell you everything about all their vacancies or what they don't have or do have. Other times they'll hang up on you. So it's a job trying to find out.
So they're basically making the phone calls and find out. So it sounds like with some of the things, there's like websites I can tell you all this. This is more like, hey, look, like we've got to go in there, and which is also an opportunity there because not everybody is doing that kind of stuff as well. What I wanted to ask you is, who owns these buildings? Like, who are we negotiating with? Are we negotiating with like individual mom and pop shop type of people? Are we negotiating with like a REIT? Are we negotiating with like Walmart? Like, who are the owners of most of these buildings?
Some of them are mom and pops, but a lot of them, whenever you get to the superstores and stuff, it's some rich ass guy. That a lot of them don't even remember the building, owning the building. So then they're tough to negotiate, and then you got to have that realtor that's a badass that's going to press. So we've gone through multiple and found some great ones that are really good at drilling down and getting the answers that they need and understanding what we're up against whenever we are going to put an offer in on something.
Some of them, like the Home Depot, the band Home Depot, and then even we bought this shopping center in Alabama. They live in like Dubai, and they've never even been to the property or been to our country, and they own property. And you try to get someone from Dubai to start negotiating.
Good luck.
Good luck. That price is $1 zillion a square foot, and that's what I want, and I'll just keep it forever. So, well, you're never going to sell it for that. Yeah, well. Like I said, that's
they're
the price.
okay with it, basically.
Yeah, so nothing has to make sense. So it's all over the board.
Mm-hmm.
And are these typically buildings that are typically on the market, or are these buildings that like are off market as well too? Like generally, because I see buildings in our area that have been sitting for 10 plus years, and I wonder what's going on with these buildings.
We find them both ways, but we love when something's off market. That's what we really love, But it's hard when we're in a say rural area, but we're in a rural area. So when we want to do research, we're not driving around your neighborhood, so we would have to have a realtor find the one in your neighborhood. Whereas that's why like real estate is so centralized. Where you're at is what you will be good at. So you've got your neighborhood. You've already identified a few buildings. We would have no way of knowing what buildings you're even thinking of. So it takes someone like you to go and find a building and bring it to us, or do it yourself, or whatever. But we find them all different ways. But it's awesome when they're off market.
Yeah. When you guys complete these buildings, do you guys typically go through the process of renting them out, or do you guys just sell them empty and allow the new buyer to rent them out? And is there a benefit to leasing them out versus selling them vacant? Like, do you get more money?
We got a management team. So we're in the self-storage industry. So we've already got a team that is managing the other storage facilities that we have. So we just put that team on it. The one that's in Texas, Dino helped staff that at the location itself. But we've got a management team that's put in place. And so it makes more sense if you are going to flip it, then it's probably best to hold on to it and get it at least, 60, 70% occupancy and show a track record of being able to fill that thing up if you're going to get top dollar for it.
Yeah. What about how much does it cost? What are the cost differences between running a non-climate control facility and a climate control facility? Like, does it how much more can you get on those in income, and then how much additionally does it cost to run them?
It's basically electric bill is what changes. That'd be the biggest key as far as running month to month. What's going to change is your electric bill. So, big box stores, big electric bill, but you're not keeping it at 72 degrees or 76. Industry standard might be between 80 and 82, and in like Texas, you're just trying to get the humidity out is the main thing to prevent any mold or anything. But and then it goes back to the demand for how much you can charge.
Who are the clients that are renting out these facilities? Like what type of stuff are they putting in the climate control?
Household stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
nothing of any. We have these auctions, and they're all digital, so we can take a look and see. Believe me, the storage wars. I don't know where that came from, but every unit we've ever had, which are hundreds and hundreds, they're full of junk.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
You know,
there's
it's funny
nothing.
when I asked him what are they storing, he just laughed.
Really
same-
important,
Yeah,
valuable stuff to that
I
person.
can't live without it. I'm going to pay,
Yeah.
$150 a month for the next 7 years. We have one guy, is a friend of ours in Texas. We tell him what we're doing. He goes, I got 3 units. One I haven't been to in 20 years.
Yeah.
And he don't know what's in it. Just it's an American culture thing to have that much stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing, just as it relates to like the designing of the building, and um, are there certain designs that work out better than others, like for hallway sizes, different, how many levels can you go up, and then what are the different sizes of each unit, or is there like a preferred unit mix? Like when I buy apartments, I have an apartment complex that's mainly 2 bedrooms, and I like that better than the 1 bedrooms. They have less vacancies. I have a certain amount of 1 bedrooms, and now we're adding 3 bedrooms. So it's going to be a nice apartment because it's going to have the 3 bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms, and the 1 bedrooms. And it's going to be a pretty good unit mix. What type of unit mix do you guys like to see in something like this? Like, is it better to have smaller units, bigger units?
It's a variety, honestly. We've kind of found out that the more variety, the better.
Yeah. And then if you have other storage complexes in that area, you're going to know what works best for that area. So, like in Arizona, where we're at and where we have the majority of our storage complexes, we can tell you what's going to be the best bang for the buck and what's going to fill up the quickest. We had a company come in and do the layout and design in Texas, but then whenever we went to do the build out, again, Mike's brother got involved, and then he changed up, the unit mix or the size based off of what he felt was going to rent better for that area.
And the feasibility study has a portion of
It'll
that
tell you
feasibility, it has that in that report also, what they think is going to be the demand
Would be
based on
best.
their study. Yeah, so it is and it's one of those things. There's probably not a wrong answer, because as soon as you fall in love with 10 by 10s, you won't have enough or you have too many. So we have found that a good variety of sizes seems to work out best, right?
Yeah.
So and then the companies that are out there, if you're new to the business, there's companies out there to help you. So they want to sell their product, and they've got engineers and people to help you. So it's you're not on your own once you get out there. There is companies that will help you help design and get them maximized based on where the pillars are in the building or entries and stuff like that. So you're not on your own when you have to design it yourself. So I would put a lot of thought in that at first, because that's going to be the easier part.
What I was going to ask you is there any companies that you guys would say would be good for newer people looking to get into this? Like, so for example, like feasibility companies, and also like to build it out. Any companies that you guys would recommend?
Honestly, we don't handle a lot of that shit, so we probably couldn't give you the name of the company. We've got staff and stuff that does, but yeah, we could let you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But there's feasibility companies, several
They're
of them.
everywhere.
There's several of them that do that. That's why it's not like Ford or Chevy. There's just
Yeah.
a bunch of companies, and get some good reviews, and reach out to this storage association or something, or go to one of the conventions. They're all there.
Yeah. Anything else that you guys think would be helpful to the viewers?
It's a fun business. We like this part of expanding, and like you said, there's always a good deal somewhere. So hey, interest rates are up. This is that, but you're not trying hard enough. Go look.
And honestly, with anything, like even when we started talking on the last podcast, you're always looking for that niche, that thing that's going to be a little bit quicker and easier. Apartments. Hey, what are the secrets to the apartment? At the end of the day, it's grinding, hard work, experience, and that knows that know the ins and outs of it. It's the same thing with this. Even when we jumped into this niche, we're like, this is it, man. Big return. It's going to be quick and easy. Get through that. Nothing's quick and easy. It's a grind. You got to get involved. You got to jump in and get your feet wet, and learn more from your screw ups than you ever do from your successes.
Take action and figure it out.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, this is one that like I had thought about it, but I had never found somebody doing it. So I appreciate obviously you guys coming on the show. I hope that this show helps you guys in some way, but I appreciate obviously you guys like sharing that, because I think a lot of people have questions. Not only that, but I think there's opportunity here as well too, because I think that certain aspects of retail, commercial are going to be hit the most over the next couple years. I think that there's a lot of areas with empty retail or just empty commercial buildings, just because of COVID, Amazon, and just different trends. But I think self storage is something that is growing as well. So cool. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you guys, like maybe somebody wanted to hire you guys as mentors, or somebody wanted to connect with you guys, what's the best way for people to do that?
Check us out on Instagram and then DM us. That's probably the easiest way to find us. They have a link in the profile there.
And then are you guys best friends or brothers? Because Mike said in one of the things, like, my brother.
So there's three of us.
Yeah, there's three of us. There's me, Mike, and then his brother Dino is out in Texas. So we're just best friends. Mike and I are best friends, and then his brother Dino is our business partner out in Texas.
I love it. Love it. Cool, guys. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. For all of our viewers out there, today Mike and Beau kind of shared with us how to convert commercial property into self-storage self-storage, climate control self-storage. We talked about numbers. We talked about feasibility studies. We talked about like zoning. We talked about what to look for in terms of the cities. If you guys have enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you feel that this episode would be helpful to some friends, make sure to hit that share button. So thanks again, Mike and Beau, and I appreciate you guys, and thank you for coming on the show.
All right, man. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.